Hello, this is my presentation of primary congenital hypothyroidism that I have put together for my final project in genetics for health professions at Doane University. My professor for this class is Dr. Karen Stansel. I hope you find this presentation enjoyable and informative. These are the key concepts that we will cover today on congenital hypothyroidism. Should you need to reference a particular slide after the presentation. Without further ado, primary congenital hypothyroidism, or CH, is a genetic disorder that is essentially the partial or complete loss of thyroid gland functionality that happens to someone at birth. Because of the thyroid gland loss or abnormality, the thyroid hormone production is affected. A little on the pathophysiology of this disease. The pituitary gland releases a hormone called thyroid stimulating hormone, or TSH. TSH plays an essential role in triggering the thyroid gland to release crucial hormones into the body. One of these very special hormones is thyroxine, or T4. T4 is responsible for vital functions such as metabolism, growth, and brain development. If these processes are affected, then one can become overweight, stunted, and even suffer from cognitive effects or mental retardation. What makes detection of this congenital disease a challenge is that symptoms are not always apparent at birth. Sometimes newborns might go 3 months without showing any noticeable symptoms. Early detection and immediate treatment betters the survival and quality of life for these individuals. The most common treatment is hormone replacement therapy, and this is where the patient will receive doses of synthetic thyroxine, which aids those vital functions to work properly. Some of the symptoms that you will see in a CH patient is some of those listed above, such as poor feeding and constipation, lethargy and weariness, jaundice or yellow skin, an enlarged tongue that noticeably sticks out, mixed edematous faces or swollen and dry faces, umbilical hernia, which is a protruding mass in the abdominal region, cold and mottled skin, mottled being patch spots, and hypotonic posture, which is basically low muscle tone. As we can see here, A is referencing the hypotonic posture and jaundice, B is referring to the myxedematous face and enlarged tongue, and C is showing the umbilical hernia. Here are some of the main facts associated with CH. There are different statistics as to the prevalence of CH, but generally it is around 1 in 3,000 births. Also, CH is the most common metabolic disorder experienced by newborns. Interesting enough, not all cases of CH are genetic. Some are developed over time and would result from autoimmune diseases such as Hashimoto's disease, or with iodine therapy received for having hypothyroidism. Also, the issue doesn't always originate in the thyroid gland. Hypothyroidism can be caused by issues with the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus. If the problem originates with the defect in the thyroid gland, it is said to be primary type of hypothyroidism. Also, mostly problems in the thyroid gland and experienced congenitally have a genetic basis. Genetics account for approximately 15 to 20% of CH cases. In those cases, there are two main types of CH. There are thyroid dysgenesis and thyroid dyshormonogenesis. In 80 to 85% of the cases, the thyroid gland is absent, severely reduced in size, or hypoplastic, or abnormally located. These cases are classified as thyroid dysgenesis and are most common seen. In the remainder of cases, a normal-sized or enlarged thyroid gland, or goiter, is present, but production of thyroid hormones is decreased or absent. Most of these cases occur when one of several steps in the hormone synthesis process is impaired. These cases are classified as thyroid dyshormonogenesis. In thyroid dysgenesis, the responsible genes for causing CH are PAX8 and TSHR, which are genes that are inherited by the parents. In thyroid dyshormonogenesis, the cause is from mutations of the hormone production genes, which include DUOX2, SLC5A5, TG, and TPO. The long arm of the chromosome 15 has been documented to be the location where TSH-resistant genes are located. Additionally, a mutation in the alpha subunit of guanine nucleotide binding protein that is supposed to signal TSH release is defective. What is important to grasp here is that there are many different genes that can cause CH. Depending on what is going on with the thyroid, narrows the search for the responsible gene. Also, depending on the symptoms, one can figure out which gene is the cause. An example of this is in CH patients with spiky hair and a cleft palate. Cleft palate is a mouth abnormality. It's also known as Bamforth-Lazarus syndrome, or BLS. Patients with BLS have a specific form of thyroid dysgenesis, and the cause is a gene mutation in gene TTF2-2, and the protein it codes for, which is S57N. Now, much like the previous slide depicting the responsible genes, we have those very genes organized in a fashion that classifies whether they are considered autosomal dominant or autosomal recessive. Autosomal means that these genes are not sex-linked chromosomes, but on one of the other chromosomes called autosomes. That being said, dominant and recessive inheritance is referring to how the gene was received from the parents. Simply, dominant inheritance means that when a parent passes off this specific gene, the offspring receiving it will be affected. With recessive inheritance, people can become asymptomatic carriers for the disease, but not necessarily have it. Furthermore, with recessive inheritance, diseases, syndromes, and traits can skip generations. Now back to these genes up here that can cause CH. When inherited, CH is noted to normally have an autosomal recessive inheritance pattern. However, when mutations in PAX8, TSHR, and DUOX2 are the cause, these CH cases are consistent with an autosomal dominant pattern of inheritance. A weird occurrence is seen with TTF-1. Abnormalities in TTF-1 are autosomal dominant in nature, but TTF-1 regulates the transcription of TPO and TG, which are considered autosomal recessive. That is why it is very important here to determine the origin gene, as it is the inheritance determinant. Also, something else to note here, issues with the thyroid peroxidase, or TPO, are what cause the enlarged neck hump, or goiter, seen in some CH patients. So, one of the more difficult concepts to wrap our heads around is whether a certain type of CH is inheritable or not. A major way that geneticists and physicians classify if the hypothyroidism is genetically related is by the following. Organification defects that lead to CH patients with goiters is now found to be autosomal recessive. According to Mosby's Medical Dictionary, organification is a process in the thyroid gland whereby iodide is oxidized and incorporated into tyrosol residues, tyrosine, or thyroglobulin. Organification is catalyzed by the enzyme thyroid peroxidase. On the other side of things, issues in the TSHR gene or those under its realm of responsibility, are known to be autosomal dominant. There are many other genes that are exceptions, but these are not as commonly seen. It really depends on which gene and what is wrong with it. Here are two pedigrees that show the difference between the autosomal dominant and autosomal recessive inheritance pattern. To break it down a little here, males are the boxes and females are the circles. A branch off depicts a new generation and their offspring. The blacked out ones are considered affected with the condition. For the sake of this presentation, assume that these are CH patients. As you can see, autosomal dominant inheritance has an affected individual in every generation, or is not passed on because the offspring did not acquire the dominant gene. In recessive inheritance, you can see how it skips generations, and an offspring can act as a carrier for the disease or trait. To delve a little further into this, we look here at an autosomal recessive pedigree. You can see that all individuals that have this condition are considered homozygous, or having two recessive copies of the gene, which is displayed as HH here. You can also see that in Frank and Gina's bloodline, it skips a generation before it affects their grandchildren. James is not affected by the condition, but he's acting as a carrier for it. His daughter, Amy, now has the condition because her father passed it on to her. This is essentially how genetically based hypothyroidism is passed on from generation to generation. Here are some specific genetic testing options when trying to figure out if a newborn has CH or not. Newborn screening for thyrotropin, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is the definitive genetic test. These tests consist of biochemical and molecular genetics tests, such as TSHR sequence analysis, gene sequencing panel, rapid testing, microarray analysis are among some of the choices. The most common and most performed is the immunofluorescence assay methodology. Blood is analyzed from whole blood spots placed on a newborn screening card. This must be Food and Drug Administration, FDA, approved. Now there is a lot going on here. Let me boil it down for you. Testing isn't mandatory, but it is highly advised. Without detection through genetics testing, an affected individual could suffer from lifelong cognitive defects and impairment along with physical abnormalities. The first round of specimen retrieval is conducted within the first 24 hours of age up to 48 hours of age. Typically, 24 is the part you want to have. You want to get it within those 24 hours. The second specimen is taken 10 to 14 days or approximately 2 weeks after. Typically, this is done upon discharge. Yes, early detection is important. Clinical signs are often subtle, if apparent at all. A clinical diagnosis will allow the initiation of treatment. Treatment during the neonatal period is vital for normal brain development and growth. The first weeks of life is a crucial time for treatment, as proven most effective during this time. Okay. Now, Baby Genes Incorporated offer a supplemental newborn screening, which is a buccal swab and a dried blood spot. And they offer that for $349. Some of the other genetic tests, as seen to the right of the slide here, might be less or more expensive. Baby Genes Incorporated, Baylor Genetics, EGL Genetic Diagnostics, Eurofins Clinical Diagnostics, and Sen4Gen Institute for Genomics, and Molecular Diagnostics, there in Canada, are some of the companies that offer these genetic tests. Now, false positives are sometimes seen from the first specimen collected. During the first day after birth, TSH levels can be transiently elevated. This usually resolves after the first day. Thus, the second screen usually confirms or denies a diagnosis. There are other things that can cause false positives, such as prematurity,